Alright, and this is our first leg day. Technically, it's our second, but this is the first one that I'm actually recording for YouTube, for you guys. So, I start off here with some RDLs and a little, just a little in public service announcement in regards to my injury history. One that has haunted me for quite a long time now is I do have golfer's elbow on both sides, and it's pretty chronic. It's been for the past 2 years and a half. I think we're about to go on 3 years. But I've learned to be able to train around it and manage it. But basically, my elbows will only flare up when I'm doing some heavy isometric holds, like as you see here with RDLs or pull-ups. But yeah, regardless, basically for these RDLs, I actually use a hook grip, which is different from an overhand grip. Where a hook grip, I actually wrap my thumb underneath my finger first so that the weight is being pushed into my thumb versus my fingers. I find that makes it a little easier on my elbows. But to each their own. But this is kind of my way of like managing around this. Unfortunately, I can't actually use a barbell because using a barbell, especially because of the overloading capacity, it just becomes too much for my elbows that it's like I can't even quite recover at some point. But yeah, we have some RDLs here. We obviously we're maxing out the dumbbell stacks. This is I do go to blanks, so the highest dumbbells are unfortunately are 90 pounds. Perhaps I could throw a 10 pound on top of them. But yeah, here is the goat of the day. So squats. I have a terrible history with squats where essentially I've always had problems. Like this squat that you're witnessing right now on video has actually been 6, 7 years in the making. I've always had this really bad issue of butt wink, and most people tend to overanalyze their butt wink, thinking that it's excessive and it's going to contribute greatly to their lift. But really, it's just a minor movement, and it doesn't actually affect them as much. But for me, in my case, it was actually pretty major. Like my whole lower back would just flex under. But here, as you can see, after lots and lots of stretching with my soleus muscle, my gastroc muscle, doing some hip mobility exercises, which I still slack on and I do need to improve on, I'm now able to get pretty damn deep. Now, of course, we can't forget the fact that I've got these really long femurs. They're nothing extraordinary, of course, but relative to my body, my femurs are quite long, which means my torso has to bend forward a lot more and the range of motion is greater. Here we have 185, and I have to say this is getting a lot easier by the day. However, I'm not so focused on maxing out my squat right now. My main prerogative with the squat is to really improve the technique, understand what I need to do versus not do. For example, the bar placement for high bar, I was placing it too high on my neck, and I found I was getting like this really crippling nerve type pain as I was doing the workout mid set. Yeah, I just felt like the bar was digging straight into my spinal cord, which, of course, that's not a good thing. But here I learned a good placement where I could place it exactly on that muscular shelf of the back that I have. Thankfully, I have muscles there, so it's a lot harder if you don't have a good back development. So definitely train your back, get succulent. But very proud of where these are going right now. And I have to say, as the workout goes on, you're going to see it here. But when I start doing lighter weight after already doing heavier weight, my butt does start to wink a bit. My lower back kind of flexes a bit. And I feel like the lesson I learned with this is not to hip hinge excessively and trust the knee flexion. Allow my knees to go forward more than I allowed them here. Of course, you can see they're going forward, but I let them go forward at the very end of the movement, whereas they should be going forward midway. So I feel like everyone will be fair here.